Educated Ignorance. I am Nieema Simone.
And I'm Vixon J.
And Steven is not here today.
He's feeling a little sickly.
He's a little under the weather.
Shout outs to the weather. Burr, 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 burr.
No shout outs to them. No shout outs to them.
The weather's been a little wild, but
it's been crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone, send Steven some get well soon hearts on his Instagram and stuff.
Slide in his DM and send good wishes.
Just okay, yeah.
He'd appreciate that, I think. Maybe. Or get mad annoyed. It's also,
one or the other.
Yes,
one
it's
or the
awesome.
other way.
Either way, he'll appreciate the reach out. So.
Yes. So today we have a special guest. We have
Very
Miss
special.
Cristy Gonzalez here.
Okay.
The founder.
Hello. Oh, thank you. Applause.
The founder of Care to Lead. It's a mentorship program. Am I correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so
Yes.
before we jump into that, we're just going to go and talk about our weekend as we usually do.
Yes.
Let off any rants, because I always have a rant.
And it is Monday.
It is Monday.
Mondays are good for rants.
And also,
Bruh.
it is International Podcast Day.
It
Oh,
is.
that's
I
so
did
yes.
see that.
Yeah,
I
that's
did
a
see
thing.
that.
Well,
For
congratulations to y'all.
Yes,
all right,
to us,
all right.
all the podcast people out there.
We
That's
are
right.
international. That is very true. We do
Mhm.
reach in many countries, I'm sure.
That's right.
Yeah, we did.
Shout
I've
out to
seen
Germany. What up? Europe.
it. Yeah, I forgot. They do listen to us in Germany.
Yeah.
A lot of overseas
slid
places.
in the DMs that one time.
Africa.
Africa.
Yeah.
You gotta learn to say
African.
Europe and
Yo, shout
German.
out.
I learned to say Europe and German.
All right.
Mm.
One of these days. Go Duolingo or some shit.
So how was your weekend, B?
Yes. Are we still doing this one word thing?
Okay, so this is the thing. We pick one word to describe we're gonna do a week.
Mm.
We're gonna do a week,
Yeah,
right? Or just
one
the
word
weekend?
Week from the last time we saw each other.
Okay.
So
I
that-
probably don't
that's
remember all of
basically
that.
the whole week.
But I definitely remember the weekend.
Just choose a highlight of your week.
There we go.
And just give it a word.
The week
give
or
it
the
a-
weekend?
No, it's all the days.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
we're talking. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So I guess from last Sunday into this Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just choose,
So what's your
choose
word?
One highlight. I'm gonna say bear.
Bear. BEER or
B-E. Well, both actually.
Mm.
so bear and
bear and bear. Not that bear.
Oh, okay.
Two bears, not
See,
three.
that's what I was asking.
Grizzly bear?
As in grizzly bear, and then bear.
As
wait,
in
no,
you drink.
no beer. No, beer and bear are two different.
You know I have an
pronunciations.
accent, so sometimes everything sounds like.
All right, so the answer is bear. Mad technical math with phonics. Yeah, I went to Bear Mountain this weekend. It was like a Bear Mountain cruise. They have like the
Nice.
Oktoberfest type of boat ride
Oh,
that you
okay.
take off the pier in Manhattan. So I went with a friend of mine. We went up there. It was pretty dope. Me and her, we, when you're on a boat and drinking a lot,
Mm.
you get into a certain mood. You know what I'm saying?
Well, like sick?
No, not
Oh,
not
like you
I'm
meant that
talking
kind of
about like
mood.
you chill, like
Oh,
you're drunk.
okay.
Oh,
Because
okay.
you're drinking mad beer. Because we bought like these unlimited cups, and it's just like you can just keep refilling them.
I see. I don't like beer.
I mean, you don't have to. I mean,
I'm not a
yeah.
fan of it either.
No, I'm just saying like you could keep drinking it, but I don't think I don't like beer, and I don't
Gotcha.
think I would like it enough to like keep
Keep
wanting to
drinking
drink
it, right.
Yeah, in
Right,
that
right,
sense.
right,
Maybe
yeah,
a
yeah.
limited wine option is better for you.
All right. Well, that's a different boat ride.
Oh,
Turn.
But anyway,
Turn
yeah. I mean,
ride.
if you haven't been to Beer Mountain, it's just basically just like a mountainous area, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
So we got there. At that point, I was already exhausted because it's like shit, all this beer and all.
Right.
And it was
blow-
hot. It was hot on Saturday, so it was like the sun's beaming.
Oh,
We're trying to
yeah.
do our best to be under the shade. But anyway, so we get there, we're hiking up a little bit because when you get off the boat, they give you like a couple of hours to hike around, but you don't have that much time. So like you get there, you get on the dock, you hike up a little bit, but by that time you're mad tired of climbing. You know what I'm saying? And there's a little zoo area, which is kind of cute. You see like the bears,
Mhm.
the actual bears,
Nice.
and all the little animals and stuff like that, which is kind of fun. But after that, it was just like, all right, this is too much walking.
Like it's time to go back to the
And
boat.
literally,
it's hot.
it's about time to go back.
And
to
when
the
you
boat.
drinking all that beer and you're
Facts.
walking and it's
Facts.
hot
Facts.
and there's bears.
All right.
Right.
Reading my life.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I was dumb tired. on
But how did you
Saturday.
even hear about it?
Oh
Like,
no,
was it with work?
she my friend found out about it and she just like sent me a link to it and I was like, all right, let's do it. And
Oh,
she was like, okay,
nice.
let's do it. So yeah.
Oh, that's
fun.
cool. I like when
Solid.
friends have like creative stuff like that. Like shit you
An
never heard of
adventurous
before.
Oh yeah, I'm down for the shits.
Like
So,
we're gonna drink beer on the boat and go hiking.
Mm-hmm.
Oktoberfest.
Amazing.
That's
Gotta
what's up.
Google that.
What about you?
Me? Spicy.
Of course.
Spicy.
The
Spicy
booty
nuggets.
shorts.
Listen, I just
The
want to
booty
say I was
shorts.
outside. Okay,
Mhm.
I was outside. I had a good time. I had a real good time. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Oh,
Sometimes
boy.
I speak too much on this show,
Too
and I be
spicy?
like,
Is that what
"Oh,
you're
I hope
saying?
such and
When there's
such
too
don't
much
listen."
information.
Too spicy?
But I did take myself out to the bar yesterday,
As you should.
At
bar around you?
yeah, my favorite place is one of my favorite bars in Harlem, 116th and Lexington.
What's it
and La Chula.
called? La
Chula.
Chula.
I love that place.
Ooh, La Chula. I like
To the
that
point, the
name.
That's
grandmas
very
in the back
spicy.
making the tortillas for the taco. They make the
Ooh.
homemade
Wait, what?
tortilla, like, so good.
I gotta check that out. La
So
Chula.
good.
No wonder
So
I was
good.
Spicy.
So I'm sitting at the bar and I'm like, first of all, I went to T-Mobile to get a new phone and they ended up getting robbed.
Wait, what?
And I
Were
was
you
there.
in there
I was
when they
there.
Wait, the T-Mobile got robbed?
Yes.
And
They
you was
robbed
there?
And I was there. I was
They
so
robbed
irked.
T-Mobiles?
Yes, because now they're stealing phones. So T-Mobile has this thing to where, the phone
Yeah,
usually
it's
docked.
attached. Yeah.
Right.
But now they have like a clip on top of the phone and it's docked.
Yeah.
And they have a charger that's also an alarm. So if
Okay.
you pull on the charger,
Right,
the alarm
right.
goes off. So this guy was in, he was like a dope fiend, and all the alarms on the phone kept going off. She was like, "Sir, stop touching the phones, whatever the case may be." He
Right.
said, "Oh, why is it going off? Because you're touching it.
Right.
Mhm.
Duh.
Leave it. Because when one goes off, they're all going to go off." So he moved to like the next station and did the same thing. And the manager walked to the back, and the other coworker was behind me. So I'm standing there waiting because she's getting ready to show me the phones, even though they didn't even have it in stock.
Mm-hmm.
She went to back to get the phone for me, and then I hear the alarms go off again, and I see him go like this to put it in his pocket. I'm like, why am I here when this is happening? So I turned around, look at the girl. I'm like, I mouthed it like he took the phone. It's
Yeah.
in his pocket. She said, I'm watching. I'm like, bitch, he took the phone. It's in his pocket. Like,
No,
what are you
I
talking
mean,
about?
if anything, she saw him, so.
No, she didn't because she wasn't paying attention.
Oh, she did.
And that's
see
what the
it.
manager was upset because she said when he first came in, she told her to come outside.
Right.
So when she went to the back, she was telling her to come where I was standing at because where she was standing, she can see him, but she was
Right.
all the way on the other side. So if I'm
Wow.
standing here, you can't
Right,
see.
Gotcha.
So then when she walked over, he casually just walked out, took a couple more on his way out, like just did it mad hard.
He took mad phones?
First of all, the whole iPhone 11 Pro
Yeah.
Max, that whole section is wiped out, gone. So they don't even have that in the store.
Uh-huh.
So
She just took
Because
some
he
other
robbed
phone?
all of it.
yeah, she said it thinks it's two of them now work together.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they
Because
exchanged.
one robbed the other one on Linux, and then they came over between Fifth and Linux and got the other one.
They're probably trying to sell those phones. They
Yeah.
want to resell
Well, look
it.
at
That's what they
teamwork.
do. Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
That's what they're
That's
doing.
crazy.
So then they called the cops, and it was like, "Oh, she saw what happened. Don't knock. Now I gotta no.
Good
Come
job.
on,
Now you got to
man."
be Takashi.
Now you gotta make a statement. Now you gotta
That's
sit.
it. They was like, "Well, man, I don't wanna. Nigga, I just want my phone. They don't even have my phone.
Right.
I'm just
Right.
gonna pay my bill and leave."
Fam.
But I was there for like 45 minutes to an hour. After that, I was like, "I'm going to the bar."
Yeah.
Because I only
Right.
came outside to get a phone. Now I'm going to the bar.
That was an active investigation.
Listen.
Cool thing.
Went to the
That's
bar.
crazy.
They was like, "You're by yourself, mommy." I'm like, "Okay, drink."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
They just gave me a whole bunch of drinks and free shots.
Oh, that's what's up. So you had a good time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And now I'm not drinking for the whole month of October because September was really rough on my liver.
Congratulations. Yes. Take a break. Take a
Mhm.
break.
I just
With
laid
some
in the bed
detox water.
looking like a monster.
Throw
all
some,
Sunday.
throw some ice on that spice.
That's spice.
That's
not
a good
that
one.
spice.
Put that on a t-shirt.
But Saturday night was very eventful and it was fun. I had a good
That's
time.
what's up.
Yeah.
Good,
How was
good.
yours?
Yes.
Well, some weekends of mine is spent resting and going out and trying to be an adult.
Right.
But this past weekend, I had one of my workshops with my
Nice.
girls. So the theme of this past workshop, we were talking about what seeds we want to plant in our life and what steps we'll take to water those seeds. So I planned a trip to the Wyckoff House Museum in Brooklyn.
Oh, I actually live very close to that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, we walked from Canarsie. Like,
Damn.
I didn't know.
Around the
I'm not
way.
from Brooklyn. I worked in Brownsville
the
for
farmhouse.
4 years. Yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
not from Brooklyn, so I don't know how to travel in
Oh
Brooklyn.
no, that place is far.
Oh, yes, it was far. But it was so lovely.
Yeah.
And I learned so much. Like, we took a tour of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the oldest house in the country.
in the
Like,
country,
it
yeah.
precedes the USA actually being constructed.
It's,
Wow.
So
built
it's
back in
crazy.
Dutch times and all that shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
wow.
learning of the history, when you talk about colonizers and colonization, right? So learning about the history, it actually belonged to a Native American tribe called the Lenape people.
Mm-hmm.
And that was their land and their home. And,
Wow.
and the Dutch came and settled and kind of
Right.
like stole the land through bureaucracy and,
All the fun words they like to use.
it was just crazy, and I'm sitting there learning about it, recording my girls, and my girls are asking so many questions. They was just so blown away by it, and it was really nice. Like, we were churning butter, and we were making our own apple cider,
That sounds like
and
a
they was
cute
doing
date.
embroidery. Yeah, it was fun. It was very, very fun. Like, we had some apple fritters. It was cool.
Wow.
And then Sunday, I just like rested and recharged and watched some horror movies.
Nice.
But it was chill. But that's how my life is now. Like, 1 weekend me, 1 weekend my girls. So
Nice.
yeah.
So what word would you use to sum it up?
Informative.
Nice.
Because not only did I learn about, of course, the museum, I learned more about my girls, and I learned more about some people in my life that I had to like cut off.
Yeah, you know,
As one does.
every month,
informative. Everything was informing me, so I was paying attention.
every month, I feel like I got cut off one person. Like, see now,
Yep.
can't.
Yep.
You're the weakest link. Goodbye.
And you have those moments where you feel like, okay, now I gotta cut you off.
Yeah,
You know, it's a
You
very
feel
loud
it.
voice
Like it's time.
in your
Yeah.
head. Like, okay, it's time to cut you off.
it's time.
Yep.
It's definitely time.
Yep.
You're done.
That's it. That's it.
You remember that meme like delete.
Yes.
Word.
Definitely.
Exactly what that is. Exactly what that is. So
Definitely.
we're gonna jump into this and tell us a little bit about your upbringing.
Yes.
First.
So I was raised by a single mom, a
Mhm.
very strong Caribbean single mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I am the second eldest, so there were responsibilities in which I had to care for my younger siblings.
Mm-hmm.
But my upbringing was very beautiful. I was very surrounded by a lot of family. Like, of course, there was hardships, but
Mhm.
my mother is very resilient, and I've learned that from her. So even though there were hardships in my family, like homelessness or domestic violence, I always saw her push through.
Mm-hmm.
And she always spoke from faith. Like, you know, it's going to be okay. We're going to be all right. Like, even when we were homeless, you know, she would say, you know, at least we're all together and you guys
Right.
are with me. We're going to be fine.
Right.
And she was still working. You know, we were functional. We weren't panhandling on the train,
Right.
but we just didn't have our own
A
home.
home.
But, yeah, my upbringing was good. And I'm grateful for it because it made me who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And it taught me resilience, but it also taught me the value of family.
Nice. So, career-wise, what did you start off doing before you found it here to leave?
I always worked with kids.
Nice.
So because I used to take care of so many kids,
Uh-huh.
and if you grew up in my house, there was always kids in my house to the point I'm like, Mom, like I'm tired of sharing my bed. Like I'm tired.
Listen,
Like I'm
I
tired
know
of
that.
these damn kids. You know.
I understand that.
That was me as a kid. But as I got older, it started in high school. Like I started tutoring.
Mm-hmm.
And I was tutoring my peers. But then my cousin, God rest her soul, Jeanette, she got me hooked up with a job as a nanny when I was in college.
Okay.
So
Nice.
I realized I didn't want to do nannying, especially for privileged ass kids that you can't discipline because their parents let them get away with murder.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, this nanny shit don't work. But it gave me enough experience to like get into actual programming. So I
Okay.
started working for after school programs. In college, I was a full-time student, but I was working 3 jobs. So I was
Wow.
nannying, then I worked in after school, and I was also a private tutor. So I would go to people's houses and tutor their
Nice.
kids. And from there, I went into working as an assistant director for a daycare center, a preschool, for after school program and also preschool right after undergrad. And that's where I met my mentor, Marlene. God bless her. She's amazing. And I worked for her for a couple of years until I was like, you know what? As much as I love being an assistant director, I want the creative freedom to design a program in my vision.
Right.
So I applied for an after school director position because I love after school. I've always loved that space. Like I grew up in after school,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's always a space to just be yourself.
That's
And
good
I was
space,
that
yeah.
And
kid.
have fun.
Yes, and just have
Create.
fun. You know, create and discover yourself. And I was that kid in school where like I wasn't the teacher's favorites because I
Right.
used to tell them about themselves. You know, I wasn't the teacher's favorite, so they didn't really fuck with me. So, but in after school, I was that girl, you know, that stood
Yeah.
out, that people went to,
Right.
that would lead things. So it gave me a way to really show up. So I went into after school, and I've been in after school and youth development ever since, and I love it.
Nice.
I love it. I was a program director, then I was a senior program director, so I managed multiple after school programs. And now I'm an ed specialist, so I train youth workers on how to work with young people, especially in social emotional learning.
And how's that?
Yeah.
I love it. I love training people. I love training adults. Like when I started directing programs, I was very young, so I supervised people who were older than me, who undermined me, who
Right.
thought
Oh,
I
that's
know
what I'm like.
shit.
That's
Oh!
what I'm like. How does
Talk
that
about it.
work?
Talk
Honey.
about children.
When I'm telling you, the kids were even hard. And mind
Right.
you, I'm a program director for middle school kids in Brownsville, and they were
Right.
easy. It was the staff
The
that I had to
adult
supervise.
children. Yes.
It was the adults that kind of made it difficult for the simple fact that they didn't trust me, you know. They thought I
Yeah.
was Bossy McBosherson, which I was,
Mhm.
honestly. And
All right.
we could talk about that journey
Title.
and change later. But I was that person. I'm like, okay, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. I need you to do that. I don't have time for your feelings. I don't have time for your emotions. I need you to figure it out. You're here at work. It's 3 hours. Get it
Clearly,
done.
it's
Yes, ma'am.
Get it done. So I was like that, you know, and it isolated some people. It affected my leadership because people wouldn't trust me. They would undermine me, pit people against me.
Mm.
So I started to really go to trainings on being a better leader. And because of that, it's super improved my leadership style, the relationships I was able to build, and sustain, the partnerships I was able to make, and the way I connected with my young people.
So what do you think has been most challenging so far with having to work with, the youth? Because kids have a lot of stuff going on at home. So how do you not detach yourself, but not get so overwhelmed and caught up in everyone in their lives? Like, how do you,
that's hard.
because it's hard just being
It's so
a human. When you hear a story, it affects you, but then you have babies, like little kids, and you're just like, I'm sorry. It's like, what? It's like, how?
But in the same tune, it's a good thing and bad thing in a sense, because, and not to say it's good that you've been through so much, but the fact that you could have certain stories that are relatable to some of these kids that you work with. You know what I mean? It's more of a relationship, and it's not too much like you're removed from them. You know what I mean?
Look how God works. So when I was 16, my mom got pregnant, and it was a high-risk pregnancy, so she couldn't work. So we lost our apartment, and we went into the shelter. We were placed in Brooklyn on East New York Ave and Junior Street. 10 years later, I start working at a school right around the corner from East New York Ave and Junior Street. So a lot of the students in my program lived in that very same shelter that I lived in for like 2 years. So that to me was God. Like, again, I lead by faith. That was God. And I'm like, God is bringing me here for a reason. And I was able to talk to kids who were ashamed of being homeless, because I understand that feeling. Being ashamed that you don't have your own home, that you got to stay in one big ass room with your entire family. You have no privacy. And I was 16 at the time. So it was like, get out of my face, you know? And I can't, I was outed at 16. So it was a lot happening in that year, in that space. So to have life come full circle, and now I'm an adult, I was living on my own. I was very independent. And I'm working in Brownsville with kids who live in the same predicament. So it does help, because I do have a lot of stories that relate to my youth, but it is also very consuming for my heart.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's why I had to pour so much into my self-care, because when I tell you I was having nightmares about my kids and what they were going through, I would take work home. It affected my relationship. It just affected my mental health. It was a lot. And I had to, as I grew up and grew in my faith, I'm like, I can only do the very best I can do by them, and the rest I have to let go and let God and just pray, because I can't save them. And my natural want to save them and help them, it wasn't helping me, because I'm like, there's only so much that I can do in my capacity to support them, but emotional support, I do that a lot with my kids, because a lot of them come from backgrounds where, their families are not expressive, or they're very dismissive of their feelings. So I'm like that haven that kids come to unload, unburden, and then I try to fill them up as best I can. But when I tell you I be going home, I run to the bathroom after and cry. I definitely do that.
It has to be hard.
Olivia Pope shit, son.
Yeah, it's some shit.
Yeah.
It's definitely some fixer shit, and it never feels done. Like, you never feel done. But I just been learning to praise myself more for what I do, and the growth that I've seen in my kids, and how I contributed to that growth. And I'm like, you can't save them all, because I had some kids that I really wanted to, and I lost them to the streets, Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so you can only do the best you can. It comes with the job.
Yeah.
But in the sense of the rotation, how long do you stay with a certain group of kids?
Oh, well, I was a program director in Brownsville for 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so for 3 years, I was the director, and then 1 year I actually supervised the site instead of being there every day. But I recently experienced a role transition. I just got promoted to this ed specialist role. So I walked away from the program director role, and that's why I created Care to Lead, because I needed to stay connected to my kids, especially my girls who looked to me for support. I needed to stay connected to them. I wanted to continue to be a part of their growth. So even though I'm not there every day anymore, because I can't afford it, in the sense of, I live in the Bronx. It's Brownsville. The travel, I was working 8 to 6, so it's I'm there all day. I'm exhausted. And I also had to pick up some responsibilities when it comes to supporting and helping my family. So being 2 hours away, it wasn't doing me any good. So when this promotion came about and I went for it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, but I need to see my kids and I need to be around them. So I go there twice a week, because it's one of my sites that I have to check in on. And then I'm there twice a month.
Okay. So what pushed you to really get started with Care to Lead? Like, what was that point where you was just like, I'm going to do this? Because it's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
Ooh, girl.
finding faith and then you're
Excuse me.
starting something on your own is something
Definitely.
that's big.
I have to credit people, my village, and I always talk about my village, but I have to credit the people in my life that really poured into me and saw things in me and also pushed me. Because from young, like when I first got interviewed to be a program director for my nonprofit, I remember the executive director asked me, what do you want to do in 5 years? And I said, I want to start a mentoring program. I did it in 4. Because it was part of what I needed to do and wanted to do. But the idea really came about a couple of months ago. I went to a brunch. I emceed a brunch. And it was an empowerment brunch. And I took one of my girls. She was my mentee for a long time. She was in my program. Now she's in high school, but she comes back. She supports me. And I took her because she is one of the students that I'm most proud of because of her growth. I tell everybody her story. In 6th grade, this little girl was throwing chairs. She was fighting everybody. She was cussing teachers out. They would kick her out of class all the time, and I would see her in the hallways. I'll pull her in. I'll talk to her. I'll hold her accountable. Like, sis, you were wrong. This was wrong. This is a better way to do it. And over the years, I've witnessed her grow, and she grew into a leader to the point that she's talking in front of people. The pitch that I did today for funders, she came with me.
Oh, nice.
She came with me to talk to them about the impact that I've had on her as her mentor and why she's a part of this program. So she's my co-founder. But anyways, we were at the brunch, and everyone's impressed by her. She was the only teenage girl. It was all adult women.
Wow.
She was the only teenage girl, and she just threw herself in it. Like, she was so engaged with the conversation, with the activities. She was supporting me and emceeing it. And towards the end of the brunch, I remember she shared out that she don't have this level of support in high school. And she was only in 9th grade. She was like, we don't have this level of support in high school. We don't have women that talk positive to us. Like, we have friends who are contemplating suicide because they don't have no one to talk to. And I was like, it clicked in my head that I need to facilitate spaces where young girls could feel free to just be. Right. Especially Black women. There's so many expectations and narratives constructed around who we are and who we're supposed to be. And people try to box us in so much. And I see that happening with these girls. And I've always been that person. I used to be like, fuck out of here. You ain't gonna put me in a box. You are not gonna put me in a box ever. Since I was a kid, I was like that, which helped. It didn't help me much because I got in trouble. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Nope. But I see my girls falling into it, right? And I'm like, nah, I need to help build agency in them so they can be whoever the hell they want to be because they want to be it, and aspire to be whatever they want to be. So just creating spaces for them to feel free, for them to discover, for them to explore, ask questions. And when me and Kamaya left and we're talking, she was like, we got to do this brunch. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, how we gonna do it? Because I like to, when she come up with these ideas, I just listen, and I ask her questions because I want her to delve deeper. So I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do? How's it gonna look? What do you think about this? So we was exploring it, we were talking about it, and then a month later we had our first brunch. And then after the first brunch, there were a lot of people on my social media that were like, oh my God, I would love to have attended and been a part of it. And that's when it clicked. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get Black women to be mentors to my little Black girls. And at this point right now, I'm proud to announce that I have 7 mentors.
Nice.
And I'm super happy. I have 11 girls currently, but I'm trying to grow the program to 20. That's really my cap. And get 20 individual mentors for each girl. Okay. And it's all volunteer based. It's from well-intentioned women, Black women, professional Black women who just want to pay it forward and help a little girl, discover who she is and not box herself in and not succumb to what the world wants for her, but what she wants for herself.
So how do you pick the girls, or do they just say they want to be a part of it?
It's based on choice. So there are some girls that I target specifically.
Like, girl, you
need to be with me.
Right.
There's some that I target, absolutely. And I like, often the ones that I target, they don't want to be a part of my program. I was Cristy, I want to hear what you got to say, because they want to be who they want to be. Exactly. Even though I can see the destructive ways and how they're moving, their parents can see the destructive ways and how they're moving. So I get to them, or I get them through their parents. Like, hey, I understand so-and-so has been having trouble, that they're experiencing these issues. This is a program that I created to support them, and I would love for them to be a part of it. And because I've been in Brownsville for a while, a lot of parents trust me with their children. So they'll be like, okay, Miss Cristy, where do I sign up? And they'll sign them up. But often when girls come to me and be like, oh, Miss Cristy, I want to be a private, especially since I'm not there every day anymore, they miss me and I miss them. So when I show up and I'm talking to like my few core girls who were down from jump, there's other girls who listen in like, oh, so where y'all going? Like, what y'all doing?
I want to hang out.
I want to come. So this past Saturday I had 2 new girls come just because I was talking to, like, my first session I had 7 girls. This past session I had 9. So I had 2 new girls come because I was at lunch and I was talking to the girls, giving out permission slips, like, this is what we're going to do. And people were overhearing me. And I like talking to them at lunch because one thing about middle school, they nosy and they listen to everything. They like to ear hustle. Yes. So I talk to them because trips are always an incentive. Like, our kids want to get out of Brownsville. They want to get out. Right. They do not want to be surrounded by all that negativity all the time. And a lot of them exhibit a lot of neighborhood pride. And I've come to appreciate that because despite the stigmas about Brownsville in the media, it's very community oriented. There's so many people.
It's definitely a Brooklyn thing.
There's so many people pouring into that community, pouring resources and doing things for free for those kids. So they're very proud. But they like to ear hustle. So I was like, yeah, this is where we're going to go. And I'm like, oh, I want to come. And one thing about me, when I was a program director, as an educator, I don't deny any kid. Yeah. Even the bad ones. Yeah. The perceived bad ones. Because sometimes
the bad ones need, like, they need air. I always say that. Right. They need air. Take them outside and run around.
Hello.
That's all they need.
Let them burn it off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Burn off that energy, right?
Sleep up.
Go burn. But, you know, sometimes, too, and I say perceivably bad because I don't believe in bad kids. I just believe in bad ways and bad practices. Right. So, but because with kids, they're still developing. They're still learning. They don't know everything. They do what they see. You know, everything is learned behavior.
And I always tell, not to cut you off, my clients, don't sit your bad ass down. You're being bad. Because then they're going to start to manifest things like, oh, I'm bad, I'm bad. Yes. And they're going to keep doing bad things. So don't say that to your child because they're going to believe that and they're going to start exhibiting that behavior. So I'd be like, no, don't just say you're misbehaving. You're being mischievous. You don't say you're bad. Like, just don't say that word.
I tell my staff that all the time. When you call a child something, you're making a judgment on them. Right. And that affects the relationship.
And they're going to carry that.
Yeah. So I say your ways are bad and your behavior is inappropriate. But I've never called a kid a bad kid. But these kids, they've been called that. So they call themselves a bad kid. Right. And I'll tell them, like, you're not a bad kid. Why do you think you're a bad kid? Tell me why. What do you do that's bad? And I'll tell them, you know, I've seen you be kind. I've seen you be understanding. I've seen you show compassion. This is not what bad people do, you know? So, yeah, you know, they misunderstand. A lot of times those kids just want to be seen. You know, they just want to be spoken to. They just want to be, like, just get to know their ass. You know, like, just pay attention to me. See me. Adults do the shit. Yeah. Adults act out because they want to be seen, you know? So, of course our kids are doing it. They don't know no better, but, you know, they just need some love. And I believe love can save the world. Real love, not that fake love bullshit. But I feel like real love, real intentional love can save the world. And that's how I lead. I lead with love, with my kids, with my staff. Love is a key component.
So you could have done this in anywhere in the city, but you chose Brownsville.
So when I interviewed for the role, they was like, so we just have to let you know that it's in Brownsville. And I was like, okay.
Wait, who's we? Who is the we talking about?
Oh, the leadership that interviewed me for the job.
Okay, the leadership. Yeah. What was their hue?
Oh, they're Puerto Rican, Hispanic. Yeah, Hispanic. My organization, I'm very proud to say, is a lot of minorities. And that makes me feel good because our kids have representation. Because a lot of kids we service, well, it ranges because we have tuition programs, free programs. So it ranges in demographic, but we're very minority.
I was hoping it wasn't one of those we got you
type
shit from Insecure. Like,
No. When I saw you, when I'm telling you, when I saw Insecure, I was so grateful for where I work because I was like, I could not deal with that bullshit.
I forgot all about that.
Yes.
Yo, that
would make you so uncomfortable watching. Like,
yes.
So just to warn you, these kids are a little special. You know, some bullshit, bro. Like, now you're Issa Rae. Good job.
Right?
Because I grew up in Brownsville. I was born and raised there. First 15 years.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So,
no, you didn't tell me that. I didn't know that.
So, growing up, like you said, it's very much like a community. Yeah. Brownsville is small. People don't go in there. They talk shit about you. So, you have no choice but to kind of like stick together and hone in on who you know. So it is a sense of pride. It's a sense of, no matter what block you walk on, you're going to bump into somebody. And then you're dealing with girls who live there. And when I left, I felt like a lot of the older people that lived in the neighborhood were passing away or they were moving. So you didn't have those older people to keep the younger people in check. So now you just have the ones who was kind of like in the middle who were lost, started in trouble. Now they're the elders. Yeah. And they're getting these little kids and they're just turning them.
Yes. It's so sad. Yeah. Like, I can't even share some of these crazy occurrences and stories. And a big part of my role and what I try to train my staff to do is to tell our kids the options that they have.
Yeah, because they don't know. They really don't know.
They don't.
And sometimes it's not presented.
Yeah.
It's not made clear.
Yep. And then, you have some of the parents. Like, not everybody who live in that area don't work. You have people who have, like, real legit careers. Yes. And then you have people who don't. Right. And the ones who don't, it's like they don't want anything else. So they're not teaching their children. Yes. Right. And I used to go to after school out there. But for a while, after school just wasn't a thing no more. Right. So you have these children who want to know things and learn things. And, the school might not be that great. And then, you have teachers who are, like, some of them a lot younger now. And they might not really care about the kids as much as the elders used to care about us. So you have these kids who are, like, displaced in a world. And they're having their own emotions that they're going through growing up. And then you have the world happening around you, and it's not always the best situations. And then to be a girl and to deal with all of that, it's very scary. It's very scary, especially when you don't have anyone to talk to or you don't feel protected. Yeah. And then a lot of things that I hear that happen out there, and to think about if, I'm a young girl growing up and I have to see, like, someone getting shot or my friend probably got raped or my homeboy tried to kill himself. Like, that's a lot to deal with when you're 12 years old.
Absolutely.
And that's a lot. And that's why we need people that care to lead.
Yes. Yes.
Baby, you see what I did there?
That was good. I like that. That's good.
But that's the point. I mean, and just thinking about, first of all, like, just thank you for even just, like, coming with this thing. Because, I was thinking, when you mentioned about, like, the young girl that went with you to the brunch and she's from high school, it made me think back to my high school days, because I went to high school in Brooklyn, and just to think about everybody within that age range that was probably acting out in different ways, and us as kids, we're thinking, oh, that person's bad or that person's crazy, for whatever the case may be, but it could have been so much happening with their lives outside of the scenes, because we only see things from that perspective of school. You know what I'm saying? They could have been that person similar to that young lady that was with you that was probably going through so much things and they didn't have any type of guidance that you're providing them now. You know what I mean? And just even thinking like back to like elementary school or like middle school. You know what I'm saying? Everyone that was deemed bad by like teachers and everything like that. Even parents deeming their children bad because they just didn't understand them or they didn't know how to like communicate with them. You know what I mean? Outside of that school spectrum, everyone's just throwing the responsibility of taking care of my child on different people, and it's just like you have to kind of look into yourself and realize that a child at a certain age should once again be heard and understood and not just kind of pushed to the side, because bad just creates that stigma of, oh, they're bad, they can't be helped. Right. Push them to the side. We're just focused on the good kids. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because we have more patience for them. And the bad kids, just let them be bad or let them be whatever.
When they want to get it together, then we're going to help. But it's like their children, they don't.
And I embrace the bad kids, and the bad kids love me. The bad kids love me.
They're usually some of the best ones.
They're so sweet.
They're
like when you talk to them, and they're brilliant. Yes, they're so brilliant, and they're so sweet. And it's like, once you connect with them, right? Because I've had students in my school where they'll cuss your ass out, but they love me and give me all the love in the world. Right. So then people looking at me crazy like, oh, well, how that happened? I'm like, because I listen, because I talk to them, because I start a fresh day with them every single day. Like, I don't hold what they do against them. But at the same time, there are people, and I've witnessed it, like people that I've supervised or even my colleagues, the way they talk about these kids. Patience, it's so diminishing. And it's just, it breaks my heart to the point. And I'm always that person. And my staff used to not care for me when I did this, because they'll come to me, oh, so-and-so did this, and you need to suspend them and get rid of them, kick them out of the program. But I was like, have you considered this? Or did you try these practices? Or, well, this child doesn't react that way to me. Maybe this is what I've been doing with them. Maybe you can try it. But what I find with some adults who work with young people if it's not a quick fix, they don't want to put the work in.
Exactly.
Yep.
And
Lack
that's
of
not
patience.
real. And that's why I love mentorship, because I'm pouring into these kids every day, every week. I'm consistent with them. I'm present in their life. I praise them when they do well. I hold them accountable when they don't. And I show up for them. But when they're wrong, I'm like, okay, you were wrong for this. And these are the reasons why you were wrong. I forgive you. I'm okay with it.
Let them understand.
Yes,
Just reprimanding them.
And they be like, when I was your age, I'm like, that rhetoric don't work.
Shut up.
Shut up. There's a new time. That rhetoric does not work.
So you think the 50s is 2000s?
Hello.
2000 now?
Hello. They looking at you
when
crazy.
y'all ran in the bus and y'all had milk delivered to your front door?
Right.
You think this is these times?
I used to call myself a bridge because I'm only 28. And when I started supervising programs, I was 24. So it's like I'm close to the adolescents because I remember 13 like it was yesterday.
Right.
But I'm also understanding of the old school mentality because I was raised up in it.
Right.
So in being that bridge, I'm trying to like balance and teeter-totter, like, cool, I get it. They were wrong for being disrespectful and for cursing, cool. But at the same time, I'm like, I get my kids too because you didn't talk to them in the right way. You insulted them. And, you know, they're people and they're adolescents. They're forming their own opinions and identities. You can't talk to them like a 5-year-old. And some of them want to talk to them like a 5-year-old. And then when our kids cuss them out, I'd be like, well,
like when they curse them out like a 30-year-old, now you're mad.
I've been working with young people for 10 years. I never had a child tell me suck my dick. I never had a child cuss me out, call me no bitch, nothing like that. Never. And I'm blessed for that. And I work with kids who are in gangs. Like, I never had that happen to me because I operate with them the way I operate with anyone in my life. I give people the chance. I give people the benefit of the doubt. But I also stop people when they do some shit. But I'm consistent with them too. I'm like, listen, I'm okay. I'm very forgiving. But this is my line. You're not going to cross it.
Right.
And I'll tell them, like, I don't disrespect you. You're not going to disrespect me. Hello.
Sis.
I'm all about respect and accountability.
I don't know about this program. This is doomed to fail. Look at you trying to instill values. Where they do that at?
That's what I noticed about older people dealing with them in any kind of situation. Not all, but a lot, and especially women.
Yes.
They are so nasty.
Case in point at your job.
Yeah, my
you
job.
Go through it every day.
Yeah. Every day. I had a whole
All these
breakdown.
old
I had a whole breakdown, like 1 o'clock in the morning, calling Steven. Yeah. Just nasty. Like, what? Who fucked up your little grits this morning? Like, bitch.
Right, girl.
And it's so hard to talk to them because they feel like because you're younger than them, they're going to talk down to you.
Yes.
They don't care if you're 25, 30. Bitch, I'm 50, I'm 60. No, but I'm not your child.
Hello.
Right.
I'm not a child. You have to respect me if you want respect. If not, I'm going to give you the same energy.
Yep.
Age doesn't equate to respect.
It does not.
And I tell my staff that too. Like, respect is earned.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you respect because I was that kid. I was like, who you? I'm not going to respect you if you talk to me any type of way. You talk to me crazy. You want to insult me. No, I'm not going to do it. So I get that from my kids. Because they'll come to me, but he ain't have to talk to me that. But you're right. You're absolutely right. And I would do, you know how many mediations I would do? I would bring the staff in because I don't like tension in programs. Right. Like, it should be fun. Yeah. My kids should have fun. My staff should have fun. So if there's like tension, I'll bring a staff person. I'll bring a child. I'll tell them before, we're going to have a mediation because we're not going to continue with this energy. Because one thing I don't want is for any child to feel unsafe in my program. And if they don't trust you, they don't feel safe. And it's not fair to them because you're a grown-ass person.
Right.
You should know how to self-regulate. And that is a child who is developing. Right. So I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. So I'll bring them together and we'll have a mediation so they can both get it out, but they can see each other and connect on a human level. I'm a human with feelings. Regardless of my age, I feel. And this hurt my feel. You know? So how can we repair this? So we'll talk about, like, next steps. What are we going to do? And sometimes I've had kids be like, I'm not going to talk to them no more. And I'm like, cool. If that's what you want to do, I'm going to respect it. But they would always talk to them, you know. After a while, the kid's mad. I'm like, nah, I don't want to talk to them. I'm like, okay. But at least and I'll tell the staff, give them space. Give them some time to process. They'll be all right, you know. Don't pick at them. Because sometimes adults do that shit too. And that shit bother me too. They want to pick. And I'm like, if that child slapped the shit out of you, I'm going to sit right here and watch like, ooh.
Now you're asking for it.
Ooh, you got slapped. You know? Like, nah. It's just, respect is earned. You give what you want. If you want it, give it.
It's crazy because, like, in elementary school, I learned about peer mediation. I don't know if they do that in schools anymore.
No. I try to bring it back though.
No, for like that. I remember taking a course. It was like an extra course.
I took a course too.
Yeah,
I remember in middle school.
It was like, I mean, granted, it was between like classmates, or whatever, but like if there was a conflict or something like that, and then you would be the mediator and you'd listen to both sides and try to like come to a common ground. They don't do that shit no more.
Right, but you know what? Everything has to be led and spearheaded by intentional adults, right? The adults, because I had peer mediation in middle school too, and I remember they took us out with hype. They took us out for a whole week to do workshops and how to resolve conflict. But I had a really amazing teacher who was fueling that, you know, was talking about community and unity. Yes, who cared, right? Like, care is so important. It's such a factor, but I feel like a lot of our teachers too are really stressed. And I understand it, and I don't want to be a teacher. People was like, why don't you be a teacher? Nah, I'm good. I love this after-school social emotional space because I'm preparing them for life. You prepare them for, you know, career. I'm preparing them for actual life and how to just be and live with other people.
It's a lot less curriculum and a lot more, like, character building.
Yes. And, you know, teachers, like, they have a lot of responsibility and a lot of pressures in some schools to, you know, perform, meet certain numbers, you know. And
some good teachers could do both.
Yeah, that's true. Rare. Some good teachers definitely could do both.
Teachers that have taught me inside and outside.
Yes.
But they're
they are rare.
Few and far between.
Yeah, they are very rare.
Not as much as it used to be before.
Definitely, but I've come across some great people. But you know, sometimes I don't blame the parents. I'll never blame a parent because I don't want to judge anyone's situation. I don't have any children, so I don't want to judge anyone's situation. But there's only so much we can do. Parents have to continue the work at home.
Of course.
And that's just it. You have to continue the work at home, even in small ways. If you don't know how to continue to work, talk to your child's educator, to their teacher on how to continue the work. Get some resources, some support on how to continue the work. But just like with our teachers who need to lead with intentionality, so do our parents. If you keep getting called because your child is sucking dick in the hallway or being sexually obscene, right? What are you doing to support your child?
Right.
You know, like, this is a real thing. This is a real problem, but we can only do so much. I can tell you as a parent, this is what I want for your kid, but if you don't want it, what am I going to do? It's like, okay.
and that's the issue, too, where it comes down to that level of responsibility, because once the parents drop off their kids, it's like, oh, that's responsibility now. That's y'all. So whatever happens amongst this school building, that's your fault because y'all should be doing your job.
Hello.
I'll take care of them at home. And just like, no, y'all have to work together.
Exactly. It's a partnership.
Yeah, it's a disconnect.
Y'all are all adults and guardians guarding these children, like, communicate. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. And that doesn't happen enough, especially in certain populations. Like, I've worked for programs where the parent engagement is super high, right? Because they're more affluent. They got money, you know, they got time. They're there, you know, they raise their children differently on different values. But in places and some communities in the Bronx or in Brooklyn, it's not like that. The parent engagement is not that strong. So you have to get really creative on how to bring parents out. Food always brings people out. Gift cards.
Catch-22 with that is like, you know, depending on the home circumstances, it could be a parent that just doesn't have the time.
That's true too. That's true too. That was my mom. You know she did not have the time.
They don't have the time. They're working a lot. Their engagement is only so much. So they can only handle their kid when they get home.
Right.
That's why they're relying on their adults at school to do their job. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, there's going to be the parents that just aren't as involved because they don't care.
Right.
There's the others that would like to care, but it's just like, girl, these two jobs.
I got to make sure.
And it's a lot. And I definitely understand those situations. But even in the same breath, I would say there's a will, there's a way.
You know, time.
Definitely, because my mother, my little brother, my mother, she's very present in my brother's school bringing. She was present in ours too. Like, she got awards and was always there. But around my adolescent years, that kind of dwindled. I wasn't really a problem child, so, you know, she didn't really have to deal with too much. Just like teachers, like, your daughter's rude. I'm like, no, you know, talk to her better. You know, like don't talk to her crazy. She won't be rude. I'm very that simple. But you know, with my brother, my mom can't always show up to like parent-teacher conferences, but she calls. She'll call, she'll speak to the guidance counselor, she'll speak to teachers, she'll check in. So even just a call sometimes works. And all my parents have my personal cell phone number, so much that they call me at 10 o'clock at night. And I'd be ignorant and call, like, nope, self-care. But they're calling me super late to ask me some things. But at the same time, I don't mind it and I always welcome it with love because you're doing this for the benefit of your child.
Right.
So I'm happy to help you, even if it has nothing to do with me. But even that, you know, it's just, like I said, there's a will, there's a way. I get being tired, trust me. I get working a lot of jobs, but You're a parent.
Yeah.
This is your child.
That's
That's
your child
part
now.
of the job.
It's part of the job of being a parent.
Right.
You know.
Just like you've seen some of the kids' growth, have you seen parents
Oh,
grow within the program?
Yes, I have. There was one parent, God bless her soul. She used to come to my program all the time. And I remember one time I actually hired her because she was just always like, when it came to trips, she was supervised and show up. She was very, very present. But where I seen her grow and when she was so supportive is she would try to bring other parents into the fold. So she was very very amicable and loving. So she would just go to people and be like, oh yeah, they're doing this, are you gonna come through? Oh, we need this for this event. So I love those kind of parents that really champion involving other people into the cause. But I have seen parents grow in the sense of how they talk to their kids, especially because the way I talk to kids is from a very psych perspective. Like I'm a very active listener. You know, I ask them questions to kind of facilitate their own answers as opposed to telling them what was wrong and blah, blah, blah. I do that, though, towards the end. But I try to get them to reflect first because they're middle school.
Where it went wrong.
Exactly. They need to go about those processes.
You understand.
Exactly.
What you did wrong.
Yep. So I do that with them. And parents, I see how they look at me when I talk to their kids. Even the really, really bad ones. I see how they look at me, and it's like this sense of wonder, like, wow, this
like
works.
Oh,
wow.
shit.
They're listening to me.
Because I try to talk, and they don't listen. Did you try not shouting?
Hello. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Do not yell.
Right. I can lower my decibels.
It's how you say it. Lower the octave.
Right. I can try a little whisper.
It's definitely how you say it. It's not what you say. And because I was that kid, like, you can be like, Cristy, stop doing that. Okay. Cristy, stop doing that. Huh?
Who you talking to?
Who you talking? You ain't talking to me like that. Like, why you raising your voice? Why you screaming at me? What am I doing? You know,
Right.
I didn't like that. Like, screaming to me it's too triggering for me. Like, even now, I don't like people yelling at me. I'm like, you gonna make me fight you? Stop yelling. You know, like, I need you to bring it down.
Right.
But yelling, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I understand that a lot of parents or educators or just adults yell at children for sake of lack of patience.
Yeah.
So I ain't gonna front when I started, because I started at 16. I was yelling because that's what I knew. That's what I came from, right? So, hey, no, you can't do that. Go sit over there. Blah, blah, blah. I was like that. But I studied psychology in undergrad, and I really focused on child development and adolescent development because I wanted to know how they grew up, how their brain functions, and what works with them to reach them, like really get to them. So when I started studying that, it really helped my work and transformed how I was able to connect with young people. Like, really, so much. Just, like, different approaches, different communication styles, different facilitation styles when it comes to activity. It really, really did, like, a 180 in my work. And I wasn't yelling no more. I was just talking. And if a child yelled at me, I was like, I don't know who you think you're talking to. I don't talk to you like that. Go sit down and take a break. When you're ready, we'll talk. Right. That's what I always do with my kids. Once they start to yell, I'm like, am I yelling at you? No, it's great. Okay, go take a seat. You're mad. Go sit down and calm down. Because even that, like, that's something I had to learn, too, that people need a break when they're mad. Kids, adults. Because in my relationship, in my former relationship, I was like, you mad? No, we're going to talk about this right now. We need to make it right. We're going to talk about this right now. But that doesn't work when people are upset because they're not in their rational mind.
Right.
So I'm like, okay.
Express themselves as
they can.
That's best they would.
Yep. So I'm like, you know what? Go take a break.
Just relax.
Right? You need to breathe. You need a breather.
See that corner?
Mm-hmm.
You in the corner.
Yep. I had a cool down corner in my program where kids could like color or listen to music when they're upset, play with like tactile activities.
That's a real thing though.
Yeah.
Me and my sister deal with anxiety, so I know when she's having like one of those moments because I brought her a coloring book, an adult coloring book.
Yeah.
She likes Alice in Wonderland, and that fucking coloring book is long as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's so
therapeutic.
Yeah,
yes.
and I just see her sitting there.
That's it.
Coloring and stuff, and then I had her download an app on her phone because when you get anxious, sometimes it can turn into you being sad or you being angry. So sometimes her anxiety can be either or. So always make sure, like, get a coloring book. Here's an adult coloring book, and she'll sit there and she'll color. So when you said that, the corner to color, and you're reading, you're right, that really does calm you down because your mind start focusing on something else, so you're able to like literally breathe.
Yes. Yes, I do meditation practice.
Yeah.
I've been meditating for like about 3 years now. And it's really helped me with it when it comes to just controlling myself because I used to have a very short fuse, and my patience, I'm very much like my mother in this way. Like, if it's not done my way, my time, I'm mad and it's going to be a problem. And I did that in my relationships. Sometimes I did that in my work with my staff. And it was no good. It was no good. It isolated a lot of people from me. People didn't want to deal with me. People were scared to approach me and talk to me. And that didn't feel good, because when I love people, I really love them. And I want the best for them. So when they don't want to talk to me, or they don't trust to talk to me because of my reaction, I'm like, okay, this is not good. Yeah. So, and also I started meditation because I quit smoking for like a week. And I had so much anxiety. I'm like, ugh, what am I going to do? Like, oh, I want to smoke so bad. I want to smoke so bad. Yeah, so I Googled how to reduce anxiety from smoking. And meditation was one of the things that came up. And they gave me like a whole list of apps. And I just tried an app once. And I remember it was like 3 minutes, and I just closed my eyes for 30 seconds. I ain't doing that shit. And I turned it off. I turned it off. I turned it off. And I was, no, because again, it's that lack of patience.
Right.
Yeah. Meditation helped me grow in my patience tremendously, because you have to practice stillness. You have to just be still. Just be calm. Not think about, well, you're going to think about things, but those thoughts don't become so overwhelming, because they're just passing like clouds. Like, oh, okay, that's a thought. That's a thought. That's a thought. I'll address it when it's real or when I need to. Right. But it helped build my patience, which helped build my patience towards my staff, towards my family, towards my kids.
Do you instill this with the kids?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you have like a meditation?
Oh, yes.
time?
Yes. So. I remember when I first did it with my kids. I was a house mother, so my former school was broken up into houses. So it was different groups of girls, and I was like an advisory teacher, so they will come to me and we'll talk about just life. And I told them about my journey and being overreactive, and how meditation helped me like calm down. So I remember I used to meditate all the time. Like, if I got stressed at work, I'm like, I need to take a break. I need to go. I need to go. So I would go in a quiet classroom, and I would just sit down in a chair, turn off the lights, and meditate. So they would see me, and they were like, "What you doing, Miss Cristy?" Like, and I was like, "I'm meditating." And then when I would come out different. They was like, "You was just bugging a while ago." I was like, "But I meditated, so I'm good now." And they was like, "Oh, we want to do that." So like my girls would come to me stressed, like, "Miss Cristy, I need to meditate. I'm about to slap somebody." I'm like, "All right, baby, calm down." Like, calm down.
Me at work, I was like, "These bitches." They were like, "Nieema, go to the back."
Right.
Go to the back. Did you have your coffee?
Go to the corner.
Go get a coffee.
That's real though, because people take you there. People take you there. But you know what? The strength is...
Go in the corner now.
The strength is knowing when you're there and then removing yourself.
I did that this weekend.
Some people don't know when they're
there. And I was so proud of myself. I got so pissed this weekend. I said, you know what? Let me call my Uber. I'm going to go.
There you go.
I'm going to go.
There you go. That's right.
But you know what happens?
And I left.
Some people don't know when they're there. And then they don't call the Uber.
Exactly.
And now there's a problem.
Right. I realized there was a problem when I started pointing like this.
Yeah.
Right.
Gun hands.
Call my Uber, because this is not okay.
Yes, Nieema, gun hands is never right.
No.
When you're a New Yorker and you point, that's when you mad. I was like, I'm doing a lot right now. I'm doing a lot. Nieema, go home. I was like,
you know, my breaking point with being overreactive and not just being rational. I remember when I'm starting on my journey to meditate and just relax myself, self-regulate, not always succumb to my emotions. I was dating someone, and we got into a huge argument, and we were laying in bed, like right after, we were laying in bed. So it was supposed to be pillow talk turned into argument.
Now it's a pillow fight.
That's clever. So I'm tight at her, right? And we're arguing, and I was like, I gotta go. So I started packing my shit. I was like, I'm leaving. I just kept saying that. She's in my face, still going.
Triggering.
Still going.
So triggering.
Still, as I'm trying to walk away, as I'm trying to leave, she's still in my face. I put my hand up against her throat and pushed her against the wall. That was the first time I ever put my hands on a lover or a partner in that way, and I felt so dirty. I went home, I cried, I prayed. I felt so dirty. It was like the most disgusting thing I ever did, and I was hard on myself for like weeks. Like I didn't know how to talk to her. She was very forgiving, and we worked it out. But I was like, oh no, I gotta change my life because if I keep on, I'm gonna kill somebody. Yeah, like I'm gonna kill somebody because the way it was low. It was low. It was so low. It was such a heavy, nasty feeling. Oh my God, it was so disgusting. I was like, oh no, I can't do this. I was like, this is not me at all. And I had to end that relationship anyway. This shit was too toxic.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, lessons learned.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's go
Like,
back to the girl
when I'm
side.
leaving, let me leave. And I tell people, let me walk away. Let me walk away. Let me walk away. And I tell people because I feel it. Like you say, I call my Uber when I'm ready. I'm like, I gotta go.
It's like it's right in here.
Yes.
You be like,
Right.
Yes. I'm like, I gotta go.
okay. So
I think sometimes we need to call our spiritual Ubers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just really just
You
call
really
those.
need to call
You really
it.
good with these jabs though. Like you
He really
like,
is.
You really good.
Yeah,
Like
yours.
king.
Give
you
him
need to
go for
coin.
it.
You need to coin some of this stuff. You need
Call
to make a
spiritual
trademark
Ubers and
list.
say, you know what? I gotta go home.
Yes.
Gotta
I
go
was
back home.
really
I gotta go
proud of
home to
myself.
Jesus.
Right.
I was really proud of myself
Good for
because
you.
I really felt that. Like,
Good growth.
let me go home because I'm going to react and I'm learning. Like, my patience used to be good, but the older I get and the more I have to deal with, like, certain kind of humans,
Right.
it triggers me even more. And I have to go home and just be like, don't take work home with you. Don't take that personally. If you're upset about it, just talk about it and get it over with.
That's it. And you know, because of that, I've gotten really selective about who I allow to remain in my life. Because there are people who trigger you on purpose, who want you low on purpose. And I start to recognize those people, you know, because I'm very good with laying my boundaries. I'll tell people, I don't like that. Don't do that shit. Like, nah, that don't work for me. And it isolates some people because it's like, oh, you're too demanding. I don't give a fuck. Like, this I don't like. And if I'm going to respect you, I need you to respect me. Very, very selective. And also paying attention to what people do and how people listen to what I say. Right? So if I tell you I don't like something and you continue to do it, okay, you don't give a fuck about me.
Yeah, 'cause you think I'm playing.
You think I'm playing. Yeah. And I tell you with a straight face. I'm not joking like, stop. No, I'm like, stop. Like, real.
Right.
Nah. So I just got to be like, snap, bye. You nope.
Block party.
Hello, you should see my block list. This shit is long as fuck.
Damn.
Like, block.
RSVP.
Hello, I don't miss seeing nobody. Like, my feed right now is beautiful. I just see so many amazing things on my feed. And that's something I taught my girls
on Instagram,
too.
right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people ask me, like, have you seen this? I'm like,
No.
that's not on my Instagram.
Hello.
I don't see that part.
Hello.
I gotta go to the Explore page, and one of my
I don't
followers
follow trash.
had liked something
Yeah.
that liked something for it to pop up on my Explore page.
Right.
It's literally like makeup, art, dogs,
Yeah.
like stuff like that. Like you're
Mine
not,
is babies.
yeah,
Mentoring.
like
Food.
honestly, definitely food.
Yes, food.
Definitely food.
This is a mix. But
Fucking
it's here and
BuzzFeed.
there.
Damn BuzzFeed and Tasty. All those recipes, like, ooh, that look good.
I like to drink, so I definitely have Tipsy Bartender on there.
Ooh, I gotta check that one.
Yeah.
That lush.
Yeah. Sometimes he be wild. I'm like, whoa,
Sometimes.
holiday. That's a lot.
Whoa,
Yeah.
bucko.
That's too much holiday in the cup. I don't want to be that happy.
That's a couple extra shots too many.
Listen, that's a
Ooh, I
trip
gotta
to the
check
yard.
that out. What's Tipsy
That's
Bartender?
crazy.
That's drunk bartender. Oh, no.
So, how does someone, I guess, sign up to be a mentor? Like, how do they get in?
Well, it's all network referred because I'm very protective of my girls and I just don't want anybody, you know, and honestly, I don't think every woman is at a point to mentor in their own life, right? And I'm not saying you have to have your life completely together, but you have to be conscious about the message you're sending to young people, right? And not everyone does that, and I'm seeing that, so I'm very, very protective over them. So it's network referred in the sense that a friend or a colleague of mine, if they know you and refer you, then I'll go about exploring, learning who you are. I've had women send me like 2 pages of like why they should be a mentor and their resume, which is so amazing to receive. Like I was like, oh my God, you're dope. Just because she just saw it on Instagram, a friend referred her, and she took such a professional approach. Even though it's a volunteer-based organization, she took a very professional approach to get involved, and I love that. So it's network referred. So if you know someone that I know that can vouch for you, because the application process asks for like references, like I need character references to call and refer. I want to know about your background, like where you've worked, why you want to do this, what do you hope to get out of it. But I also ask them real questions about what grinds your gears, what triggers you, because you're working with young people, and they may trigger you.
They will
like,
try
with their
you.
language. They will try you. And if you won't snap off of my kids, no. You know, because I didn't tolerate it with my staff, I'm not tolerating it with anyone, because that's not the approach I take. So I'm going about in the next couple of weeks doing trainings for mentors, like doing online video conferences and trainings to talk to them about how to work with young people and how to be a mentor.
I was actually going to ask that. Like, how do you kind of prepare these people who want to mentor to kind of like do it. Because most people are like, all right, I'm a good person. I want to mentor. I want to really bring a young girl into my arm, and that's all good. But then when you're actually in it, and you're trying to mentor, quote unquote, and then it's like, oh wait, I can't relate to this kid because I don't know how kids are.
Yeah,
exactly,
no.
right. You know what I'm saying?
I have all different types of mentors, like former teachers, medical professionals, like hospitality, photographers. Some of them work with young people, some of them have not. So I'm very transparent with who you're working with and what are some behaviors that may come up, and ask, how would you deal with these behaviors? And even when I interview, people give you fluff ass answers like, oh, I would do this, I would do that, but then you see them in action, they don't do that. So I put certain structures in place to check in. So every month is gonna be a once a month check in with the mentor, but also once a month check in with my girls. And I see my girls bi-weekly, so they don't hold their tongue for nobody. They'll be like, I don't like her. She stank.
First of all,
she was
who
rude.
You been bringing up in here.
Hello.
That's what
she
it
got
is.
to go.
Hello. And when I this past workshop, I spoke to them because I'm gonna start matching them soon. So I spoke to them and I said, you guys are gonna actually interview your mentors and have conversations with them. So
that's nice. I was getting ready to ask, how do you pick what child goes with what mentor?
I know my girls. And as I'm learning the women, and talk to them and ask them really deep questions, I connect with who I think they will be best for.
Gotcha.
But at the same time, for the sake of the process for my girls, I'm giving them multiple people to talk to. Like, you could talk at least 2 mentors that I think would be good for you, and then you make the decision. And it's kind of like, it has to be matched. The mentor has agreed to mentor you, and you have to agree to be mentored by them.
Okay.
So they'll do those video interviews, then in-person meet. And then from there, where the relationship goes is really up to them. I work for a nonprofit, so getting them fingerprinted. I'm getting my mentors fingerprinted, just to do background checks, make sure they weren't involved in any child abuse cases. Like I said, I'm very protective of these girls, and their parents trust me, so I never want to put them in a situation where they feel their child is in danger or not in good hands. So yeah, definitely get them fingerprinted, have my girls interview them. And when I was talking to my girls this past week, I was telling them, like, what do you want from a mentor? Because what do you hope to gain?
What do you want to learn?
Yeah, and a lot of my girls, a lot of their answers was, I don't want to be compared. I want someone who's going to listen to me, someone who's not going to judge me, someone who won't try to parent me, and that's something important that all youth workers have to take into consideration, that you're not their parent. So you can't control what they do and try to discipline them, That is the quickest way to ruin a relationship. You are a friend, a coach, an advisor. You ask questions. You help them think. You help them reflect. You don't tell them, don't do this, do that, but, what have you, because that's how you lose their respect. So, yeah, have them interview, and if they both agree, then they'll be matched, and then doing monthly check-ins. But also, a component of our program is empowerment brunches. So we bring women and young girls together to connect. So a lot of that is the mentors that we have and the girls we have. And at our launch brunch, it was just so nice seeing them talk to each other. Like, they was having such a good time.
And who doesn't like our brunch?
Right? Who don't like free food, right?
Come on now.
Well, for the girls, it's free. For the women, it's not. But, the girls love it.
You do have another one coming up.
Yes.
So tell us about that one.
So this one is on October 19th. So the brunches are bi-monthly. They're free for our girls, but women pay $20. I want to keep the fee low and affordable, so I've been applying for grants and looking for other opportunities to get monies, because that first brunch and everything in this program has all been financed by myself, and also donations from friends and family. But at the same time, I need sustainable influx of money, so it can continue going and I could keep the quality up. So this brunch we have coming up, it's called The Calling. So all of our brunches have themes. And they have different themes because we want to set different intentions for different parts of our lives. So the first brunch, we talked about new beginnings. And it was perfect because it was at the beginning of the school year, towards the end of summer. So people are setting goals for what they want for the rest of the year and how they want to close the year. So this one in October is called The Calling because I'm very spiritual. And, I practice ancestral worship. So I worship my ancestors through prayer, offering, food, and there are a lot of cultures that do it, and especially around the time of October, like Dia de los Muertos, and All Hallows Eve is really when the veil comes down, and we honor the dead. So the calling is a way to do that. I have a lot of young girls and myself who've suffered great losses, and they don't know how to deal with their grief. So to see other women who have conquered it, right? Because grief is always there, but you feel it in different ways, you know, and the intensity of it can differ depending on what time of year, your mood, whatever. Right. So seeing women who've conquered their grief and who's living with it and thriving with it, I think will be a good message to my girls that life goes on. And death is an inevitable part of life. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it hurts. But you can't avoid it. And you can't predict it. So it's a matter of like, how do we hold ourselves up, hold each other up in the face of death, in the face of loss. So, I can imagine it being a little heavy, and I feel like some people may shy away from it because nobody likes to be sad, but I'm trying to make it fun. Like, you don't gotta be sad.
Right.
That's,
And then plus you
don't gotta be sad.
You're not alone.
You're not alone. We all grieving, you grieve. You grieve relationships. You grieve people who are still living. You grieve. But that doesn't have to stop your life. Exactly. Have it enlighten your life. Have it push you. So I spoke to my girls about it. We're going to have music and dancing because I want to keep the energy light. Right. So we're going to have like poetry. Like I want to read something by Audre Lorde and Maya Angelou, who I believe are part of my ancestral line and who I love. So I'm going to read some works from them, have some girls perform, sing, and just make it good, make it feel good. And we're going to light candles and share stories, like fun, happy stories about the people you love. And if you cry, you cry. I'm trying to make it okay for people, especially black women, to cry. Yeah, I need to cry.
Some really need to cry.
You do, to get it out.
Black men too, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Not about
so
y'all.
give us your info so the listeners can, donate, follow
please.
you.
Awesome.
So where can they find you at?
Yeah, so, excuse me. I am on Instagram. The program's Instagram is at care, C-A-R-E, period, T-O, period, L-E-A-D. So it's Care to Lead with periods in between the words. My GoFundMe, I have a GoFundMe page for my mentorship program. It's called Care to Lead Mentorship Program for Young Women. All of this is on my social media and my personal social media. Don't judge me for it. A lot of people have. I don't care. I'm keeping my name. It's at Wildly Inappropriate 91. People always think it's like sexual. I'm like, nah, I just say inappropriate shit.
Right.
I just say the wrong shit.
I follow. I'm prepared for anything.
Hello, nah, but people think they're gonna, especially people trying to get at me. They was like, "Ooh, what's that about?" Nothing. Like it's
like you really reading, sis.
Yeah, like get out of here. Listen, that's not it.
Right.
That's not it. Right? That's not it. But that's my information. I'm working on a website. Like all of this is grassroots and self done. So I'm just learning. Like I Google shit. I'm like, "Ooh, how to do this?" And then I do it. And then I put it up. Well, I'm like, yeah, I did it.
Nice. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you,
and
both.
thank you for the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
Really dope. It's really dope. And even at work, I be telling people like, I have someone, and she has a mentorship program.
Nice, thank you.
We're all really dope. We all do different things. My friends, all of us have our own business outside of here, and
right.
we're really good. So I'm like, you guys should really get involved. I was like, I don't know if I'm there yet to mentor somebody, but I think you guys, because I take that seriously. Yeah. Like you have to feel confident in yourself to even be able to be present for somebody.
But let me tell you this, and I hear that from a lot of women.
Yeah. Because
I know we're all working on stuff. I'm still a work in progress.
Yeah.
Like I ain't fully made, and I don't think this work will ever be done.
Right.
But at the same time, what our girls need in a mentor is first and foremost is listening.
Yeah.
They just want somebody to listen to them. All the shit they say, what they think, and then when you see how deep their thought process is, it kind of shocks you. Like, oh wow, like this girl knows some real shit, like real life shit, Right. And then you could connect on that way because I'm very transparent with my girls. I tell my girls about being sexually harassed. I talk to my girls about living in a shelter. I talk to my girls about I'm queer and how I grew up and the discrimination that I face. I talk to them about it all, and that's why they fuck with me, and that's why they love me because they say I'm real and I got a positive vibe, and I just listen to them. If they right and they doing good shit, I reassure them like, yes, baby, keep doing that. They wrong? No.
Right.
No.
You need a good balance of both.
You need a balance. So what I tell women is that you just have to be a good listener and be a friend and a coach. And if you a big sister, trust me, you can mentor somebody, okay? Big sisters are always mentor worthy, okay? You a big sister. Listen, you could do it. And not only that, like how I lead, I'm super supportive of the people that work with my kids because I need to make sure you good to work my kids.
Make
So
sure
that's
my
what those
kids good.
check-ins are about, you know? Because sometimes with working with young people, you get triggered from things you haven't healed in yourself.
Exactly.
Like kids who've been through sexual trauma or who had domestic violence relationships or anything like that. It triggers something in you, right? But it also can help facilitate your own healing because now you're giving this child or this young person some gems that you never received, but then you're giving it to yourself too.
Look at the mentor becoming the mentee.
Look at that.
That's it. It comes full circle. It's a cycle.
Mentoring everybody.
Hello.
Oh, baby.
Hello. That's just it. And I wouldn't be where I'm at without the women who poured into me. So I'm just trying to pay it forward to the next generation.
You're doing a fantastic job.
Oh, thank y'all.
You
I
are.
appreciate
You
y'all.
really are.
Thank
And
you.
thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank y'all.
Yes.
I would love to come back and talk about some grown shit. I got some.
Yeah.
Yes. Listen now.
We're trying to build our village. You hear
We're
me?
going to do
So
that.
you are always
Listen,
welcome.
I'm coming
okay?
with some grown shit, okay?
I was like, you know,
Maybe we can have a little
we've been-
drink or something. Listen.
Listen, with some coquito because November is
Ooh,
it's approaching.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a little festive for the holidays.
Introduce you to maybe I could my trap sangria.
Oh
You gotta
gosh.
try. What's in the
Girl,
trap?
we'll find out. We'll talk.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
she'll talk.
Okay, I wanna know.
Danger. Just say that.
Spicy.
Yeah, very spicy.
Very,
See, the conversation went full circle.
baby.
Exactly. That's how they go. That's life, right?
Mad
Everything
spicy.
comes full
But
circle.
yes, definitely thank you so much for coming.
Yes,
we really appreciate
definitely.
it. You are now part of the family, so come
Ooh,
back
y'all
whenever
part
you
of my
want.
family.
and
And
we can
listen, I'm gonna say
talk.
this: I don't invite a lot of men to my brunches.
No.
But no. But it's okay. I invite some select men because what I need my girls to see too is appropriate interactions with men.
Right.
You know, they see a lot of ass grabbing, cat calling,
No.
you know, like women shaming. I need them to see healthy interactions with men.
Healthy
Right.
is the key
Healthy,
word.
you
That's
know?
what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, they need to see it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So again, thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you. Thank you.
Shout out to Steven. I hope you
Yes.
feel better, Pumpkin.
Feel better, Steven. Shout out to B2 as
Yes.
always.
Gang.
Gang. We are the squad. We're the
Right.
village.
That's right. That's right.
And of course, you can tune in and listen on all platforms where you tune into podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And until next time, have a safe and blessed week. Drink responsibly if you can. Wrap it up.
You know what?
The trap
Live
sangria.
responsibly. too.
Live responsibly.
Mhm. And can I add
I like-
something?
yes.
Live with intentionality.
There we go.
Word.
Do all things with intention.
Hello.
I like that.
I like that too. And catch a spiritual Uber.
A spiritual Uber when you know shit about to get
Yo,
crazy.
You gotta make
Call
a t-shirt
that
for
Uber.
that. Listen. You said it here first. Let somebody steal that shit.
Facts.
Let somebody steal it.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
All right,
Bye.
take care. Later, y'all.
We are out here.
Wow.
Fuck y'all
Tag.
talking about? Sophisticated ignorance. Are y'all fucking crazy?
That's a fact. Talk
Are
that
y'all
shit.
Yo, y'all getting me tight. Like I be out
This
here
is
trying
about to be our
humble.
drop. This is about
Let's
to be our
not
new
get
drop.
fucking crazy. Sophisticated ignorance. All right.